What's up, buddy? Came up
What's going
first. There he is.
on?
Hey,
What's up, my man? It's been a
Nothing
while.
much. It's been a good while. Good to
I
see
know,
you.
right? Good to see you.
How's everything going?
Good, man. How is it down in Georgia?
It's going. It's busy. Well, now it's slowed down, but it was pretty busy for a while.
Nice.
So I'm in the middle of a show right now, so I'm a little busy.
Yeah.
yeah.
You and Rags know. Do you guys know each other?
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah, it's been a long time. We worked together. I don't even remember what we worked together on, but it was a long time ago. And I think that was maybe the only time we worked together.
It was Love and Hip Hop.
Ah, yes.
Yeah,
Love and Hip Hop,
I think it was. I was day playing. I knew who you were. You've never crossed paths up until that point.
Yeah, same here. I knew who you were. I hear your name all over the place. We just never crossed paths.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's good to see you.
You too, man.
Yeah.
That's how it happens. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. You want to get into this?
Yeah, let's go. This is all new to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's new to us too. We're still Yeah, man. This is Open Walkie. I'm Tony. We got Mr. Rags over here, and we're here with Corey Lincoln. He's a DP and a director and a stunt performer, which I'm super excited to hear about.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about that too.
Yeah, man. I mean, like we've always talked about that. I've known you've done that for a long time, but it's like we never got to get into that conversation because you know how it is. Like we have those 15-minute breaks in shooting, and it's like try to get in all these conversations as much as you can, but
can't go too deep within with a shoulder break.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. It's just
how'd you?
And we'll talk a little small talk and then right back into it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So how'd you get started with the industry? Like, how'd you get started in TV in general?
Honestly, high school. I was on my way to be an architect, and I went to art high school back in New York City called Art and Design. And I always knew that I wanted to work in the film industry. My freshman year is when I started doing martial arts full time, and I was still in that cusp between trying to figure out what you want to do later on in life. Do I want to do architecture? Do I want to do film? And then I had family saying that, obviously they want me to do architecture. They have no idea about film and how that works. And I don't know, doing martial arts was what triggered me into wanting to do film in the long term, because I just loved action, watching movies like Speed and Die Hard. And that's what kind of got me jump started mentally into thinking about doing it.
Mm-hmm. How long did you when did you start martial arts?
I was 12. It was right before I started my freshman year of high school, and I've been doing it now over 20 plus years.
Wow,
that's crazy. What kind of martial arts?
I first started in what they called is Kung Fu. It's called modern wushu. So it's basically what Jet Li, if you know who Jet Li is, he's been in a lot of movies like Lethal Weapon and Expendables and so forth. So that art is what got me into it. Obviously, I watched Jackie and Bruce Lee and those guys, but because I did the system of wushu, that's what really sparked my the idea of I want to do action, I want to do film, and headed in that direction.
You like Donnie Yen? I know he's not wushu; he's Wing Chun.
Oh no, he is. Oh yeah, I love Donnie.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He's amazing. I love Ip Man. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I've been watching Donnie a long time. I know his mom, Bosun Mark from Boston. She also is a wushu coach. So it's a really small circle of people. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's cool.
Yeah. And then after high school, it was it was like the journeyman's journey, trying to figure out how to get into the film business and what do I do? Because I was initially supposed to go to college, and then I knew I couldn't afford it. And then I was supposed to go away, and I had got accepted to the Art Institute of Chicago and University of Central Florida. But financially, I just knew I couldn't financially afford it, even with financial aid. It just wasn't advantageous for me at the time.
Yeah.
I ended up going to a local college in New York called College of Staten Island, which was a CUNY school.
Hey, CSI.
Yeah, CSI.
All right.
Yeah, I went to CSI.
Rags is from Staten Island.
Yeah,
oh,
I went to CSI for a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I didn't finish, but I went there for a little bit.
Yeah, I liked it. It was a good school, and like I enjoyed the campus and listening to my professor in English class, because I also used to write. At one point, I was like, do I want to be a script writer too? And one of the things I learned was, with him was like, if you want to write, then just write. You don't always have to go to school for it, or certain situations you're put in. And this comes from a professor. He's like, it's not always necessary. And it was that moment I was like, yeah, I don't know why I'm here.
Yeah. That's great advice, though. I wish more people would talk about that. It's like, you don't need to go to school to write, especially. It's like, do it, man.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I ended up dropping out of college. And then I kind of like hopped around performing. So I was like doing like stage shows, also part-time working like at New York Sports Club and Bally's as a personal trainer, just trying to figure out how do I get in, because I wanted to do stunts initially. And then I forgot how it happened exactly, but I ended up doing a PA job off of Craigslist.
Yep.
And from that led me to meet a really close friend of mine who are still friends to this day. He's an art director. And that's initially what got me initially jump started into the business just in itself. Okay.
Yeah, I kind of started off the same way. I did a free film from Craigslist, and like I met people who hooked me up with reality from there, and that was the jump off point.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people like our age range has done that, like a lot of Craigslist shit, like a lot of free, like PA work.
Yeah, Craigslist was great back in the day.
It was.
I know.
You got a lot of random jobs, and it's like even like it was like I remember getting jobs like commercials off of Craigslist, just PA.
Yeah, I got my first job off of Craigslist.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it was like whatever, but
at that time, I don't know how it is now. I haven't been on it forever, but it was fantastic.
Yeah. Well, I mean now, because now we have such more things to go by.
Yeah.
It's like Craigslist kind of obsolete, but
because
they did the job for us.
Yeah, the prostitution rings had to ruin it.
The misconnections.
Yeah. So cool. You started PAing, and then where'd you go from there? Were you doing stunt work? Were you trying to do stunt work? How did you?
So I was trying to do stunt work at the same time. So I was trying to figure out how to get in, because I didn't have any connections in that world. So I was like PAing and asking people, how do you get in? And nobody would give me a direct answer. And so I was hopping between reality and scripted and just doing, everything. What ended up happening was a close friend of mine who we used to train together at Baruch College doing wushu. He knew a stunt coordinator and stunt rigger. And so he introduced me to him, and basically he allowed me to come on set with him to see what he was doing. And I was like, I don't want any pay. I don't want any money. I just want to learn.
Yeah.
And the first job I ever did with him, I worked on Chappelle Show.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yeah. The Rick James episode, I worked on it with him as a stunt rigger, but I wasn't being paid for it.
Okay.
And you're just teaching me.
Did you do the stunt where Charlie Murphy kicked Rick James and he went like flying into the wall? Was that the stunt?
Yeah, we helped rig all that up so he can go flying backwards. That's literally
Yeah. It's so funny.
That's such a great scene too.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. And that was my first time meeting Dave, and he was super cool because the other guys had already worked with him. And I still remember to this day, he was in the Rick James outfit. Yeah. He comes into the stage skateboarding, gets off, and they introduced me, and he's like, please don't judge me by what I'm wearing right now. And like, I'm like, that was my first introduction. I'm like, oh, this is Dave Chappelle. Like, oh my God,
I know.
Half-Baked and all these other movies.
Yeah, it's like I'm not gonna judge you, Dave. Don't worry, do your thing.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
That went well, and then I asked the coordinator, same thing. Hey, he's more like an indie, but at that time, I was like, hey, is there anything else you're doing? I just want to help for free.
Yeah.
And so, you know, he was like, okay, no problem. And that's what kind of jump started me working with him and learning the ins and outs, because he came from also a traditional Kung Fu background, but he had also worked in China. So learning from him, I learned like I guess you would say the Hong Kong way of filmmaking, because he also worked with Jet Li and on one of the Once Upon a Time in China films. Yeah. And so he taught me the American way we look at filmmaking in action, and then the Asian way, and specifically the Hong Kong way.
Yeah.
And that's what jump started me to like, all right, I need to learn camera. I need to learn how to tell a story.
Yep.
And so at that point, while all this was going on, I kind of fell into AC. I was like a utility. I worked at Food Network, jumped around, did different things, but I fell into AC through a close friend of mine, Malcolm Surratt.
Oh yeah, sure, Malcolm.
Yeah, Malcolm brought me onto a job called The City.
Yeah, he's doing great things too.
Yeah,
great. Yeah, he's awesome. And we worked together, and he was on that job, brought me in as another AC, and he ended up shooting a lot. So I ended up taking the lead spot as he got bumped. And what helped me with working in that realm of reality was I didn't understand how shot selection was for reality. Mm-hmm. It's a very different medium from filmmaking, because everything is set up. And so you know exactly where your camera move is going to be, where your focal length is going to be. So there's nothing really you have to think about other than making sure you hit your mark.
Yeah, nothing will surprise you.
No, exactly. And so you're telling a story, but you're not fully telling a story because you're going based off of storyboard.
Right.
Whereas reality, what helped with learning how reality worked for filmmaking, it took me to a different area where I'm like, oh, I got to think faster. I have to pay attention to this. I have to pay attention to that. I have to look at body language, things that I never even thought about before.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And the director on that show was Gary Schaefer. And I learned a lot from Gary because my camera never had audio. So I listened to his direction. And basically from process of elimination, that's how I managed to figure out how to tell a story through camera and figure out where I need to be. Because even now to this day, I don't listen to the audio. I can literally just watch it happening. Yeah, I don't listen to anything.
That's impressive, because I know that I need to listen to the audio to really get me into. Because if I'm not listening to the audio, then me personally, I'm just following this, and like I'm not hearing the details of what they're saying. So that's impressive that you don't need to listen to the audio and you could still tell that story. That's impressive.
Yeah, I like to have audio, just the whole thing going in my head, because I'm just like, I like to hear everything around me. So it's like that. And when I started shooting, I was like, no, like I actually got told, don't worry about the audio and everything. And that was terrible advice for me, but it's like, I just was confused. I'm like, I need to hear what's going on.
Yeah, it's bad advice.
No, I mean, everybody does it differently, and that's great,
Yeah. Well, I was forced to a position where I didn't have audio, so I had to be consciously listening to the director or watching visually what they're looking at, what they're saying, even reading lips to some extent. And that I did that for about 2 years. So now when I moved on to other things, like I don't even listen. I'm just following what's happening. I can visually see it.
Yeah, that's the foundation that was set for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry to be long-winded, and it just so much has happened over the years.
Oh, this is all about you. Yeah, as long-winded as you want. This is about Corey Lincoln.
And so at that same time I was doing that, I would say, was it 2010? While I was doing The City, I got into the camera. I got into the camera union, and I got into SAG within the same time because I got my first actual union stunt job.
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah. It was for a TV show called Lights Out that was on FX.
Mm-hmm.
And I played a boxer on the show. I was a stunt, and not just a stunt person. They actually had me as a principal character.
Oh, cool.
Oh, nice.
And so that was my first introduction to stunt work.
Okay.
That's a great introduction. It's like, here you go, just jump right in as a primary.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like scared shitless though.
I would be too.
But yeah, that's how that kind of transformed and jumped into everything. It would just happen, chance and circumstances. Got into both unions at the same time, and I was doing camera, and now I'm doing stunts. And then it was like, all right, how does this work now that I'm in?
Yeah.
You know, within the camera world. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say within the camera world, like I completely understand. Like, okay, I've made these contacts. These are the people I've been around. So people have been forwarding my information. Now within the stunt world, it's like that to some degree. And the issue with that is not an issue, but what makes a difference is it's not just based on, all right, I'm operating a camera. As a stunt performer, it's like visually, do I look like the person? Do I match what they're looking for? Do I match the character? Do I have the height? So there's all these variances within that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So that's like the interview process, kind of like going about stunt work. They look at all those different aspects before even, checking your skills.
They have to, because first casting is involved in that process. So a lot of times they're looking for people like, okay, does this person have the body type of the person that we're trying to have this person double? Because if your body type doesn't match, even if we're shooting over the shoulder and I'm filling in for somebody, if my body doesn't match their body, then it's not gonna translate the same.
Yeah, everybody can tell.
Yeah. So you're always trying to ride that line between making sure you have the person that fits the skill set, but also making sure they fit the body type as well.
Mm-hmm. So the Marvel universe is pretty perfect for you then, because you're like you're a fit dude, like you're supposed to be like a superhero, so like it's kind of fitting.
Yeah, working for Marvel was fun. Once again, another situation of just circumstance kind of presented itself. One of my close friends, we came up together. We came up together in the business, I should say. He left for LA when I started getting more into camera. Mm-hmm. Before I got heavy into stunts. So I had stopped doing stunts for maybe 4 years. During that time, I had my oldest daughter. And so it was like, I had just gotten into stunts. Camera was a little more consistent. I had my baby girl. I got to stick with what's consistent.
Yeah.
But it ended up benefiting me because the skill set that I took out of only shooting, it helped segue me back into stunt work. And that was because of my friend who knew I had camera experience, and he was working on the TV show Daredevil.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's kind of what brought me into the whole Marvel world, working for him. And I was doing what they call previs design. If anybody who doesn't know what previs design is basically I help create the architecture of what the action should look like for the director.
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of like a choreographer, like like in dance, in a sense.
A little different. So I'm not the fight coordinator. The fight coordinator is actually the one that puts together all the hand-to-hand skills and the techniques. I shoot it how it should look for the director. So a lot of times in these big action films, the director or producers, they don't necessarily understand where the best placement for camera is for action. My background from the guys that I worked with, even one of my other mentors who used to work on Power Rangers, he also taught me the Japanese way of filmmaking. And so I took that approach when going to stunt work and basically designing the fights, visually designing as far as like how the aesthetic should look on camera. So I'll watch the choreo, go through it, and then I'm like, okay, where is the best place for camera? Also, I'll look at the script. highlight, okay, what's important in the script. When you're creating and shooting these fights, it's all about, you're still telling a story. And I think that's what the misconception that some people have, but they think it's like, oh, you just shoot the action. No, but you have to create the reason why the person should care about what's happening. It's not just about big stunts happening all over. You have to visually tell the story. And it's just, that's why people can connect with movies like Predator, Terminator, Rocky, because the story helps carry the fight.
Yeah.
If you don't have one or the other, something's going to lack. And people are like, okay, that was good. The fights were good, but you don't care about the character.
Do you remember the scene in Ip Man where the guy who was challenging all the masters of the schools, he was beating everybody, and then he shows up to Ip Man's house, and he starts a fight with him, and he fights him with a sword, and Ip Man, all he has is a feather duster.
Yeah.
He pulls up the feather duster and starts defending himself with that, and all these feathers are just raining down throughout the entire scene, and it's one of the most beautiful fight scenes I've ever seen. And like it was so well done. And I don't know if it was, they must have used like a lot of jib stuff, like a lot of crane, steady cam. Do you run into that a lot where like it's got to be very complicated to put together a scene like that. That's got to be like a couple of days or at least to put that together and to shoot it and to get all the pieces just to.
Yeah, it is very complicated depending on the project you're working on, and the people, the team you're working on. Because like in my experience on working on projects like that, like which was a good example. I worked on this TV series, The Punisher, and I did previous design. Also, I did stunts on the show. But there's a big action piece towards the end of the series, and it took us almost a week to shoot it because there were so many pieces of story that we needed to tell and try to make it make sense.
Right.
And that's like the in season 2 of Daredevil, we had a oneer where Daredevil goes through a hallway, goes down a bunch of stairs, and then hits the bottom. It's a long one. It's longer than season 1.
Yeah.
But that took us like a week to shoot and figure out, okay, where can we move the camera? Where can we do with this? Like, how do we get him downstairs? Is there going to be a wipe? Is it going to be seamless? During that time, I was one of the first. I wouldn't say the first, but it wasn't less common to use for people using the gimbal, like the DJI, Ronin. So in season 1 was the first time I got to test it a couple of times. Okay, cool. So then season 2, when we did that staircase fight, that was another thing. How do we get the camera down? And then I was like, okay, let's put the camera on the gimbal, and then we have a switch off and a handoff, and then do all this stuff. And it's like, it's very time consuming because if anybody's off, it throws the whole shoot off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the movie where two guys were fighting in a car and one of the camera operators was dressed up as the car seat?
Oh my God.
I remember hearing that. I can't think of the name though.
Oh my God. I know exactly. I have the Raid too.
It was the Raid.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That movie, that looks like a very complicated movie to shoot. That entire movie is a fight scene.
Yeah, I had the chance. I actually met that director because I ended up going to the premiere of that movie.
Yeah.
And
oh wow.
Yeah, he knew another friend of mine who I've trained with and who's taught me. This guy named Chuck Jeffries, and so when I got the chance to talk with him, I just I was like, oh hey, Chuck says hi, and he knew who I was talking about. So I ended up being able to have a longer conversation with him about the movie and about my background, and we just had a small talk. But he talked about the complications of shooting a film like that, especially the opener where it's like the courtyard fight, and they shot that. It went from a jib to handheld to all this stuff because they had to figure out where can they hide the wipes, where can they hide this, how to make it all cohesive.
Right.
It's a very taskful job to do those type of fights, and do that type of action and have a concise story to tell within that without being like the audience getting bored.
Yeah, you really need a great team behind you to pull something like that off and do it well.
Yeah, you really do.
Yeah.
What's the longest prep you've done besides the one you just spoke of? Like the longest prep you've done for like the shortest scene, like the shortest fight scene.
The shortest scene. Oh man, there's a lot of different things. Maybe I don't know. Maybe Doom Patrol, but I was actually in that one though.
You were in it as an actor?
Yeah, on the TV series Doom Patrol, I for the up until this year. Now it got canceled, but I was Cyborg, the Cyborg character, stunt double from DC Comics.
Oh, nice.
So I doubled that character for 4 years of the run of the show, but then also I would help with previews here and there as well. Mm-hmm. But we had a couple of small fights, but because the style of the show is very detailed. So it's not very jump cutty. It's not like The Blacklist or I forgot there's another show in New York that shoots and it's all handheld and they're constantly moving the camera. And that show was very precise with all that movement was very direct. So it was all Steadicam or jig or dolly. So you had to really think out your movement to replicate how the director, Chris Manley, and our operators would make their moves, you know? So it was a fight that Cyborg had with Robot Man a couple of different times. And they're quick, but it took us more than a couple times to finesse it because some of the movement was a little complicated because the guy with the Robot Man with the suit is over 200 pounds. And so one of the fights, I had to pick him up over my head.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It was fun at the time, but I had to figure out, all right, how am I going to get this guy up? How do I, like, you guys ever watch wrestling?
Yeah, back in the day.
Back in the day.
Yeah. Remember Kurt Angle?
Of course.
So one of the fights is I have to pick Robot Man up and do an Angle slam. And that he's directly over my head. And so I do that and then we have to figure that out. And then the next fight that happens, I'm in wire work. So then I get thrown across the room. Mm-hmm. It's short, but it takes a lot of time, especially when you're doing wire rigging, because where we had the rig, we couldn't be inside. We had to get a forklift and get truss and do it outside and then time it. So it's like, it was such a minute thing, but it took over a week because we had to do different fights.
Right. Yeah.
For one little beat.
And how long was that? That beat was what? 5 seconds? 10 seconds?
Maybe 15 seconds.
15 seconds. A whole entire week.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm sure I don't even want to know how much it cost.
Yeah, that's a whole nother
that's a whole nother beat. But that's crazy for like you never like a lot of people don't look at that. Like they don't look at the scenes and like that shit 15 seconds just, you know, took a week to film.
An entire week for 15 seconds. Like
it literally does. It's people don't understand how time consuming it is. And then like I've done stuff where it's like, okay, we did a big scene actually last season where we had 5 people all on wires getting launched pulled back. Mm-hmm. That was a week of setup, and it's just for a 10-second shot,
right?
Because we had to build the entire truss outside. It was a huge setup, very huge setup.
Are they shooting other things while like whatever characters are not needed for those scenes? Like, are you guys still are they shooting other things just to like maximize time, or is everybody just focused on that scene and like whoever's not in it is off for the day or whatever?
Generally, everybody's there because it's principal. It's considered principal. So if we're doing a scene where it's wire work, everyone's there, unless it's like something that they know for sure that it's not needed or they're pressed for time. But generally, everyone's there. That, you know, my actors there, principal characters are there, the main units there, unless something very specific where it's like, okay, this is only action related and we don't need the actors at all, which they'll go to second unit.
Right. So in pre-production, they know, like, all right, this entire week is just for this little page right here. Like, we got to cut out this week just for that. Like, they know they've already planned for that entire week for that in pre-production.
Yeah, exactly. So they're like, oh, they'll try to get as much as they can, and then if they can move on, they'll move on. But generally, it's like, okay, if depending on the length of the scene, because within that, sometimes it's not only them trying to get just the action piece, they're trying to get the story beats that happen in between the action. Sometimes they're trying to get at the same time. So then it's more time consuming because you're not just shooting. Okay, it's a quick fight and then that's it. It's like there's a fight. Okay, now here is a moment where it breaks down and they have to have a conversation during this time. Mm-hmm. So you're like, they're shooting out of order, but there's always those moments that actor pieces that you need to get to justify what's happening if they have the time.
Right.
How good does it feel when you like nail the stunt, like first cut, like first time you nail it and you're like, I know we're going to do other takes, but I got that. I know that's good. So it's just stress relief.
It's a very satisfying feeling. It's like season 2 of Doom. I get thrown across the room and I go through like 6 tables and I hit a wall. And it was like, we rehearsed, we had this whole big fight. It got cut down, of course, for time's sake. But the main thing was, as I throw the punch, the character grabs me, launches me across the room. I think we had 3 takes because they replaced the tables and stuff. First take, done. And it was like, okay, that's it. I'm like, looking around like, you sure? They're like, yeah. Great. I watch playback. And the satisfying feeling is like going to lunch and I'm not even thinking about it. I'm like, I just did my job. All right, cool. That was cool. We got it done. And I got the camera operators. I got cast. I got special effects. Everybody come up to me that like, that was amazing. Like you did a solid, like the respect value. And it's like, I'm a very humble person. So I don't expect to get praise, but the praise that I got for doing that was like, yeah, this is why I do this.
Yeah, it's a big confidence boost too. And it's just like,
why you hired me.
It's an accomplishment, man. That's awesome.
No, exactly.
What did it feel like after going through all those tables and shit though?
It actually wasn't bad. It actually
get that adrenaline going. You're like,
oh yeah, your adrenaline is spiked. You're like, okay, it's spiked. Especially because you've only done it once. But then like another example, I worked on Iron Fist and there was a scene where I'm a bouncer and I see one of the characters coming into the club. He's hitting all these other guys, the other bouncers, and I run up to hit him. He hits me and I go down like, not like a long flight, like a half a flight of stairs. I probably did that 16 times.
Wow.
Yeah. The first 4, I'm like, okay, cool. I still got that adrenaline. By 8, you're like, all right, this is starting to hurt.
Yeah.
And it was one take. So it wasn't like they could cut around me. They had to do the whole process. See me run up the stairs, get hit the railing, and then go down the stairs, and then he steps over me.
Yeah.
So it's like,
if I was the director, I would feel so terrible making you like go downstairs 16 times and then being like, all right, we'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same deal. All right, you're good, right?
Tomorrow's the longest set of stairs.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's it depends. It depends on the director. Some are more like, okay, cool, they respect value, and some are just like, all right, next. Who's the next one?
Yeah, I mean, that goes with anything. I feel like people miss the whole human aspect of things. It's like sometimes you're like, all right, well, we don't really look at them as a human. It's like, do your job and then that's it.
Yeah. And, I find that on both sides of the coin because it's like even operating some time on reality side, I've run into that where people don't think about the operators and about the audio because it's like these guys are running around with all this heavy equipment and it's hot and like people need breaks, people need water. Like, I get it. It's a TV show. It's a series. We're all working towards something, but at the same time, you have to keep crew morale up. You have to respect your crew. And, working in both sides of the industry, it's helped me bridge the gap between, if I'm doing reality, how to take what I've learned from scripted and bring it to reality and vice versa.
Yeah. I feel like the people who have shouldered up and who came from camera operating, who are now calling cameras, they're the ones who understand, like, all right, I got to get a rotation going. I got to give my guys a break. I know how this feels. It's been an hour and a half that they've been shouldered up already with 35, 40 pounds on one side of their body. I got to give them a break. And like the ones who have never shot before, who are calling the cameras, are just like, go, 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 go. And we're all, dying.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's like when you get that, some people, you've been shouldered up for 3 hours straight, and then you get, okay, time for a break, and it's 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And you're like, what?
Yeah. Wait, what? And then it's like this expectation. Oh, you chose your job. Yes, I did, but there's still little things,
Right. That doesn't mean I want to break my spine in half.
Well, I mean, being a stunt, a stunt performer and everything, that obviously helps with, camera on your shoulder, because you got to stay physically fit.
Right.
And since, doing martial arts since, you were 12, has that always been consistently like a big factor in your life, like staying fit and like, keeping your health going?
It has, martial arts for me, and I would tell anybody, I think just being in sports in general, I think it helps people because it teaches you discipline. But being in martial arts, especially because I was so dedicated to it, it taught me discipline. And, I was 13, and I remember my coach, he was taught in China. He's from Spain, but he lived most of his life in China. So he trained me and my teammates like how to train the guys in China. So he was like, yeah, we're in America, but I'm still going to train you like you're in China. And I remember one day, literally like 13, like I broke, like I started like tearing, because we're like in splits and he's like pressing me down. And it was 3 hours of training. It wasn't like an hour, we're just going to do a couple of kicks and you get out of here. No, it was like hardcore training for 3 hours nonstop.
Yep.
So that gave me like strong mental fortitude moving forward as I got older. So it was like, I felt nothing was tough. Even if it was tough, I can figure out how to push through.
Yeah.
Sometimes that can get you into issues because you're like, oh, I'm fine. And then you're like, oh, I got a separated shoulder, but I'm still fine.
Yeah.
But, you have to find the balance. But it did make me more mentally tough and more mentally aware, cognitive of what was going on, and aware of my body itself. Because as I got older, I'm like, okay, I need to be in shape, but I also need to be flexible. But also I started studying like kinesiology and stuff like that for myself. So now I can literally I'm aware of like imbalances that are happening in my body, or seeing somebody else like, hey, what's wrong with your hip? Mm-hmm. I never really went to school for it. I'm not as sound as some guys who this is what they do. But because I've gone to those people, I'm very aware of talking to operators, talking to just crew in general about, hey, make sure you're doing this to stay healthy. Make sure you're doing this, especially for people who have kids or children, or just health in general. It just helps you last longer. You feel better. You're not as broken down at the end of the day,
Yeah. I mean, stuff that I wish I had learned when I was 13, but that's just coming to me like within the last 5 years or so, with all my health issues and all that stuff too. But yeah, I mean, that's really good advice. Health is everything, especially in this industry when you're just constantly going. And yeah, I mean,
yeah, it's, physical health as well as mental health, and even just diet itself. Like, I look at it like this, everybody is going to be different because everybody starts different things at different age. But no matter what age you are, you can kind of, make another turn into a different direction to get you down the path that your body is going to be like, okay, I see what you're doing. Okay, I'm starting to feel, you'll start to feel a little better each time. It may not be drastic, but you'll notice it. Because things that I've shown other people, and I've had friends come back to me and be like, oh, this is what it feels like when you like eat right and exercise even just twice a week. I'm like, yeah. Like, you feel like this all the time? I'm like, yeah.
This is how you're supposed to feel.
Like, this is what I feel like. I feel good when I wake up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's the thing. People don't realize that, every day that you wake up, you have the ability to change, anything about yourself. So, I mean, I think that mindset is good to just become aware of, and become aware of your body in general, because like you said, it's like everybody has their own thing. You got to figure out your own way, so you can use different aspects of, different training or different nutrition, and just you take bits and pieces from all that to work your own plan in.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. It's just like working in the business as you're going, going through your ranks and working way up to a certain position. You're taking in information and learning. So depending on how you take that information, there are benefits to it. And some people will stay stagnant because they're not taking in that information, but you have to take it upon yourself to move forward,
Yeah. Yeah. It never hurts to take in that information, but what you do with it. It's like, some stuff I don't have to listen to. Some stuff you're like, oh, that doesn't work for me. That doesn't resonate with me.
Mm-hmm.
But this, and this did. So, that's always good to learn from different people.
I always find time management the most difficult thing. Like finding the time, working in our industry, 12 plus hours every day. It's hard to find the time to like go to the gym and like keep in shape and like cook at home and have those meals, and like it's so like how do you find the time to keep up with all of that?
It's hard. It's all variant depending on the job. So if I'm doing stunts, I have a little more leeway because I'm constantly around the stunt facility to train and be in shape and do the things that I need to do to maintain or advance. And doing camera, obviously, there's less time, especially like now that I've jumped to like DP and directing.
Yeah,
I'm always in meetings. I'm scouting, so like I've turned into like the 5 a.m. club. So if I can, I know I'm not going to be able to do it I wouldn't say every day, but at least generally I go to the gym. I go train, I would say about 4 days a week, maybe 5. When I start working those type of hours, I try to keep it down to 3. But when I'm at home, I'll still do like little things, just stuff to keep my body awake.
Sure.
And biggest thing for me has been diet, making sure when I'm on set, because the biggest thing is, you'll go to Crafty and they got like Snickers bars and
all
like
the garbage that you don't want to eat.
Exactly.
Yeah. A lot of the table of temptation.
I need something quick. Like, give me something healthy, and you got to search for it, and you can't find it most of the time.
Yeah. So I started bringing a bag with me to work. Like literally, like I look like a meathead because I bring like a big gym bag with my protein shake, vitamins, and even sometimes like food that I used to pre-make and just have it with me because I'm like, I'm not going to always be able to eat, but if I have this with me, it can supplement, Every once in a while I'll break and like, okay, I'll get a little garbage, but I try not to make that consistent.
Yeah, that's what you got to do. I think it's funny how like there is a negative connotation to like bringing all these healthy supplements with you, like protein shakes and vitamins, and then you think like people look at you like, oh, look at this fucking meathead, this guy. Like, who does he think he is? Like, I'm just being healthy. Like,
yeah, I remember giving an operator shit because he would go on his lunch break to go meditate and everything, and like we'd all give him shit and like, what is he doing over there? Look at him by that tree.
Yeah.
Yet it turns out it's like I love meditating. It's like now it's like you get to the point where it's like that shit works, man. Like it does, and I get it now, and I wish I had followed his lead at that point.
Yeah,
it does help. You need it, especially like I know like the last 2 years that I took over directing, I do like I'm really good. I realize how like I'm good with logistics, and I think that's because of working in both fields. And also dealing with stunts. Everything with stunts is a breakdown. So everything is around logistics because if anything is off, that's someone's life.
Yeah.
So you have to be on time. You have to be accurate. And I kind of brought that over to when I'm doing camera and reality and scripted. And so like that has helped me keep myself on track and staying focused in regards to work, but then also regards to my own personal health as well. You know, it's hard to find that time, and obviously it's going to suffer somewhere. Whereas that, you know, family, and you try to stay cognitive of it.
Yeah.
You know?
But you've had a couple of injuries, right?
Yeah.
During your stuff. So yeah, what's the setback like for that? And do you get help along the lines from, like, if you do get injured on set?
You do. My first major injury was a non-union shoot for a music video. I did a project with Fall Out Boy, and I actually broke my complete fracture of my pinky finger, where it was facing the opposite direction.
Oh man.
I still did the video. It wasn't covered. I had my own insurance, so I took care of it. My most recent accident was that one was a lot heftier. The good thing is SAG, the union, does take care of you. You're insured. That accident, I ended up having a fractured skull. I came like this close to being permanently deaf in my right ear. My right shoulder got completely separated from the AC joint. They had to take cadaver ligaments to put the shoulder back together. And yeah, that was the injury. I suffered
yeah, without you don't have to mention the name of
yeah.
the movie or the show, but like, how did it happen?
I was doing a big project, and I had rehearsed this gag 20 times. We each stunt, we call it a gag. And so basically it was two gags into one that normally don't go together, but I was excited to do it because I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be the first person to do it. Hell yeah. I'm not back. Like, I got this. And basically, I don't know if you guys know what air ram is. An air ram is basically it's like a hydraulic lift, so with air pressure. So when you step on it, you'll see it in movies where guys get launched. You know?
Okay. Yeah, I just didn't know what it was called, but yeah, that makes sense.
It's cool. Yeah. So I've done that before, and where we were shooting, we couldn't rig into the actual facility of the building because it was a historical site. So you can't drill into the walls. Mm-hmm. And so I'm supposed to get shot into the air, and then I was on a separate line. It's called an air ratchet. So the air ratchet, someone holds a trigger, hits a button, and it just launches you. You see it in movies all the time when people are on wire and they go across the room, like all of a sudden.
Yeah.
So it was a very complicated gag that we dialed in. And so I hit the air ram. I'm going forward. The character I'm supposed to face, they have like this psychic kinetic powers, and they do like that. So I'm going forward, and then I go to my right. Rehearsed it. Everything was perfect. Checked it out. Everything was dialed in. I had no inclination that I'm like, it's fine. The day of shooting, literally the first time, and part of it was my fault. I should have put a helmet on, but I couldn't because I was wearing a prosthetic, and I didn't think about it. I was like, oh, I'll be fine. And we did the gag. I get launched. I go to attack. They hit the trigger. I wake up in a hospital.
Oh, wow. Is that quick?
It was that quick.
Wow.
I remember the countdown. I remember stepping onto the ram, being launched. And after the launch, I woke up in the hospital.
Jeez. You remember just being in the air. You don't even remember like hitting the ground or hitting anything.
Nope.
But from air to hospital is what you remember.
It's probably like 3 hours of time I missed.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
I have
scary.
Yeah, I saw the video, and the thing was, nobody thought I was hurt because I hit, and then I came down, and they thought, they didn't say cut yet, and so they didn't see me move. And then once they hit cut, and then they didn't see me put like a thumbs up, you see everyone run to me.
Yep.
And when they, from what I was told, when they turned me over, it was just a pool of blood just all over because I broke the bone that was in the ear. It went through my ear canal. It was crazy.
Jesus.
I'm good.
Yeah, I'm glad you're all right. I'm glad you still have hearing.
How long ago was that?
This was July, end of July.
Oh, wow. So that was recent, huh?
Yeah, it was recent. It took me a while to cognitively come back because I had such a bad concussion, and it probably wasn't until about maybe November where things started making sense. I would constantly like forget things. People would ask me questions, then I'd be like, wait, when did you ask me that? Like, right. I couldn't retain any information.
Yeah.
But it's part of the job, and I accepted what happened. I'm just glad that I'm around, and I'm here with my kids, and my wife, and everything's fine.
Yeah, it just brings that extra level of gratitude when you get back from something and recover from something like that.
Right.
It's like you start to think differently. Like, you know what? Yeah.
It does, and what it did was it was like a gift and a curse, because what it did was it made me focus on my own business, which is something I had already been planning to do, my own little production company. And in that time, while I was laid up, I don't know how I managed to do it, but cognitively, my brain still wanted to keep moving forward and figure out how to create my own.
So you're trying to do your own production company, like based on more stunts, or just like in general, like creating your own films?
So it's a little bit of both. So I'm just a creative person by nature. I love filmmaking, and I wouldn't consider myself just a stunt performer. And like, I love like strong directors, like obviously action, James Cameron, but also like Paul Anderson. I love DPs like oh my God, I can't think of his name right now. He did he did Rogue, and it just went away for a second. But
head injury.
What'd you say?
I said there's that head injury coming back.
It does happen.
Yeah.
That's what I've noticed, that that does happen from time to time. And I'm like, all of a sudden I'll get stuck when I normally I wouldn't. Right. But
I've had my fair share of head injuries too. So
oh yeah,
I'm also with you.
I've never had a head injury, and I can't remember anything. So like, what the hell is wrong with me?
It's the stress of the business.
Yeah, I think so.
But that was what made me want to start moving forward and being more creative in doing some of my own things, especially where we are with production and the environment that we're in the state of entertainment. So I'm like, I know this, I know stunts, I know camera, also know lighting. And now like I know directing as far as like within the reality world, but I feel pretty confident that I can direct a real feature, a real project. And it wasn't until I was talking to a friend of mine that works that he's part of 600, and he was like, dude, even though you're not creating the fights, but because you're shooting these previews, you're essentially directing. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I didn't think about it like that. I was like, I guess I kind of am, because I am reading the script, I am breaking it down, and I am shooting it to tell a story, even though I'm not actually getting the credit for it.
Yeah. That's a good way to, start to hone in on your directing skills too, but yeah,
and it's helped. And so the injury forced me to slow down and really think about where my next step is, because I didn't want to reach that glass ceiling and feel stuck.
Yeah.
Right. How long were you out for?
About 8 months.
That's a long time.
Yeah, I can relate, dude. I can relate with all the injury stuff. I mean, you have such a cooler injury than I do. Like, it's a good story, but
yes and no. It's just one of those things that I'm like, I wish it had happened, because my shoulder will never be the same, because I already know that it'll never. I have 2 metal plates in it. It'll never be the same. Just so yeah, and so it's like, even shooting, like I can just going back to doing stuff again, even just shooting just a little bit, I'm like, oh, this feels weird.
Yeah.
And so right now I've been trying to build that strength up. I know I didn't say it during that time, but just so you know, I was supposed to go into pads. And what happened is my trajectory, when the Ram took me, I was going about 20, 25. And so it took me up past the pads into a concrete wall.
Oh,
yeah. So I was supposed to go like this and hit, Instead, when it pulled me, it took me like this, and it was like basically like equivalent of like diving headfirst into a pool.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. You know what?
I hope you got compensated pretty well for that shit.
Things in the works. It got very legal, I would say. I got in calls from the main primary production company. It got really complicated, but I'm waiting to see what's going to happen right now.
You're hearing that description of you hitting the concrete wall. You're lucky that it wasn't worse, because that could have been a lot worse. You know, it sounds like you could have broken your neck. You know, like it.
Well, you know, things are bad when I go to see the neurologist, and the neurologist looks at me. He's like, "I'm surprised you're not dead."
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, what? Like, okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Professional opinion.
Well, I got that. I got that. I'm surprised you're not dead. Coming up out of a surgery, and they were like, "Oh, I'm surprised you're not dead." I'm like, "What was that? Was that your intention?" You know. So
yeah, that's what I want to hear from a doctor.
Get me through this surgery.
Yeah, when I come out of his surgery, I want to hear from a doctor. Oh, you woke up.
Yeah. Oh, wow, you're awake.
Yeah. What do you mean? Was I not supposed to?
Yeah, good. We won this one, I guess. So,
yeah. Fucking Dr. Kevorkian.
Yeah, I'm like I'm tough enough. I'm like, oh, okay, and then I'm like, damn, that you had like a double take. I'm like, did he just say that?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that was my case too. It's like, well, you know, you got a strong bone structure. You know, you're strong enough to survive that shit, apparently. So I was like, all right,
yeah. You drink your milk.
Yeah.
Well, that's essentially what he said to me. And everyone I saw, they were like, at the time, I had gained a lot of weight to double my actor, so I was up to 200 pounds. I normally walk around 165.
Wow.
And he was like, if it wasn't, he's like, the added muscle basically saved you.
You put on 35 pounds of muscle?
Mm-hmm.
Rags is so jealous right now.
I weigh 150, and for me to put on 10 pounds of muscle, like it's a struggle. 35 pounds of muscle, holy shit, dude.
But this is over 4 years though.
Okay, yeah.
Compounded.
Right.
You know, by the fourth year, like me and him, we still stay in contact. So I'm always like, prior to the show, I was like, hey, what's your weight at? Mm-hmm. And then basically became a competition between me and him. And to this day, we're still good friends. Yeah. But yeah, I had to put on a lot of weight.
Yeah, that's a lot of weight. That's a lot of muscle weight, which is very difficult to put on.
Yeah, very difficult.
Yeah, with the way that you said you recovered from injury just because of being like in such good shape, reminds me of you ever see Captain Fantastic? It's a movie with Viggo Mortensen.
Yep.
Yeah, and they raise the kids in like the like outside of society and everything, but they're like all just like super athletic and super in shape. And at the end, the girl falls off the roof, and the doctors are like, "This is amazing. Like, a girl her age should not be like this, but the way that she's trained and the way that her muscles formed and everything, like she has like minimal injuries." And it's
true.
Yeah,
it does help. Like I had
your body.
I had my hip resurfaced a year prior, where they shaved down your femur. Basically, like it's a new version of a hip replacement. And because I went so hard on my legs coming out of surgery, the doctor was surprised at how fast I was walking.
Mm-hmm.
But it helps.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but that's where I'm at right now. Like I'm just trying to move forward with everything. The injury's getting better. Right now I'm working on Married to Medicine. DP in that, and they're supervising producer over on that show as well. So just baby steps, and then I'm gonna go back into stunts later this year. Once this is done. Right now, my primary goal is to focus on the company that me and my business partner Eric Engler. I don't know if you guys work with Eric.
Good old Engies.
Yeah,
boy.
Yeah, he's the AC for me, and we've worked together over the years, and he helped me on a project where I trusted him, and he DP'd for me while I was out. I couldn't work on it because I was hurt. So I was the covering DP, but he was the acting in the field DP, and we ended up forming our company, Midnight Leopard, and right now that's what direction we're headed right now. And so, you know,
is he based in Georgia too?
Yeah, he's based in Georgia as well.
Yeah, he's a New York guy. I haven't seen him in it's been years. Him and I AC together.
Yeah,
it's been years since I've seen him.
Eric's a good dude, and you know, and we work really well together, and it's been a very good partnership, and we're both on the same mindset, you know. So
that's good. That's good to find.
Yeah.
It's good, those collaborations when, like, you know, you just sometimes it's like you got to just go find your specific partner. It's like, you know, it's like a soulmate. Like let's work together good.
It really is. You're just crossing your fingers. Like, I hope there's not going to be anything that's going to make me have to get a divorce.
It could get messy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What's the end goal of, like, you know, like what's the top of your list of, like, this is going to make me happy, like this is where I'm striving to get to?
So for me, long term, I want to direct like features or TV or even second unit directing. I feel like I've gone through the journey of now I'm absolutely sure where I want to be and where I need to be, and I'm very fully confident within my skill set. So, you know, within the scripted realm, that's exactly where I want to be. And right now, that's what I'm working on, building my director's reel, shooting shorts to get to the people that I need to show them that this is what I can do. And I've already been the possible running for a couple jobs for BET. Within reality realm, it'd be same thing, primarily only directing. That's it, only directing. I feel like I've developed a really good skill set with that, especially with the type of equipment that I'm using to help tell these stories. So I guess overall it's just directing, and eventually, I don't know if I want to be a showrunner. I don't think I want to do that. I don't think I want to do that.
Yeah.
But I mean, if it came to you, you wouldn't turn it down. You'd try it out.
I would try it out.
Yeah.
But I think overall, like, I just want to direct and hopefully, you know, possibly maybe produce. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know right now. I just know directing is where I'm at right now, and I'm a good creative director, and I'm good visually, and I understand what I need exactly where I need it. So it's like I'm very quick to make decisions, not in a bad way, but I'm very cognitive and logistical about every decision I make and how it's going to affect every other thing.
Yeah.
Including the budget. So that's where I'm at.
I think that end goal for you is very much within grasp. Like you are well on your way to achieving that end goal.
That's the hope. Fingers crossed. And
it's gonna happen.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
It'll happen.
I appreciate it.
Dude, any other advice other than the advice you've already given that you want to lead off with, somebody even trying to just come up in the industry? Or
I would just say I think this advice applies to stunts and just crew in general within the industry. And it's, you know, stay focused, be seen, not heard, always pay attention, treat work in the industry like a chess, like chess. Like if you're too relaxed and you're not cognitive of what's happening around you, you'll get lost in everything that's happening. And if you want to advance, you have to always be steps ahead. And that's the only way to me, I think that's the only way to work. And also being accountable for if you messed up. Yeah. Not everything could be perfect, you know, like, and I think that people get scared about making mistakes. And it's like, you have to make you cannot not make a mistake. And I hate seeing like people, you know, they all make a mistake, but then it's this person's fault. It's this person's fault.
Yeah.
It's never
own your own actions.
Yeah.
Take responsibility.
You have to, and the last couple of years of stepping into the role of DPing and directing and supervising, producing. And it's just, I've realized because like I said, I'm a humble person. I don't have an ego. But what I realized talking to other people on set and people seeing things through eyes of other people who are telling me this, because of how I move, people follow my leadership. And it's because I don't know everything, but I surround myself with people who know things a little more than I do. That helps me tell a better story. Mm-hmm. So you have to be willing to be part of a strong team, and you can't have the ego of this is it. This is my project. This is me. There's no one else, and it's never going to work like that. You'll never gain anyone's respect. You won't advance the way that you think you will. Not saying that it's 100%, because I have seen people fail their way up, but at the end of the day, but I think for me, if I like to have the respect of the people I'm working with, because I like to give the respect. I like to get the respect that I'm given. Mm-hmm. A PA, even if even as a director, I'm like, I'll buy them coffee. I'm paying attention, like, hey, take a break. I'll do this. I don't feel I'm above anything. But when it matters, yes, I'm like, this is your job. You have to do this when it matters. Mm-hmm. But for the most part, no, I believe in treating everybody the same and having mutual respect and just paying attention.
Yeah, because at the end, it is a team. It's like, and if you know the team aspect and the team, demeanor that you should have, it's like TV is a team. You're all working together in whatever aspect you can contribute.
Yeah.
To reach one specific goal, which is to finish the show or the movie and, move on from there.
Yeah.
I always say, like, treat everybody with respect, because you don't know who's going to become who in this industry and who knows who in this industry. And people remember, like, if you're really terrible to somebody, they fucking remember. And it's a small circle.
Yep.
I've had a producer who's an EP now and showrunner come up to me. He was a PA when we first met, but I was a camera operator. Mm-hmm. And he still remembers to this day when we first met, because he said I treated him with respect.
Yep.
Unlike other people that he's worked with who he was just a PA, so they kind of like, he just, go here and do this, go here, just like no mutual respect. And he still remembers that to this day. And that's part of the reason why we work together well.
And you work together now, and then you guys are collaborating now.
Yeah.
Well, if you can see somebody genuinely trying, it's like whatever position they're at, if you can see that they're actually trying and stuff, there's no need to get put them down or anything. It's like, you're trying, that's fine,
Exactly. And they're in a learning.
All you can ask. Yeah, you're learning. I used to tell people, I'm like, I'm never going to get mad at you, like, people that I had hired or whatever. I'm never going to get mad at you if you've never done anything before. Like, if this is the first time you're doing it, I can't get mad at you for not knowing how to do it. But I can get mad at you for not asking me when I'm willing to show you, you know? So if you don't want to take that initiative, then sorry, like, you're going to get yelled at because you're getting all the opportunity to learn and you're not taking that.
Yeah. And I tell everybody that I meet who's new, ask questions. Just ask questions. If you don't know, say you don't know.
Yeah.
Because what's going to happen is you're going to get into a position where I think you know something and you don't. And now I'm mad because this could have been prevented. I would have just helped you.
Right.
And now you made yourself look bad, not just in front of me, but all of production. Right. And that's not how you're going to keep getting hired.
Yep. Well, I think it's also advice for the other side too. It's like, if someone's asking you questions, don't get upset that you're being asked questions. Answer it to the best of your ability, and then that's it. They're asking questions for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's why anytime I'm in these conversations, I'll answer a question even before it's being asked, but I'll also explain the reason. And I think that's what people don't always do, because it's like, people just answering, and then the person that's receiving it, they're like, they're just throwing an answer out to me because they think it's what I want to hear. No, I'm explaining to you step by step. This is why this doesn't make sense.
Yep.
Yeah, right.
And sometimes in the heat of the moment, it's like you gotta yell, you gotta all right, get it done. Like you were supposed to get done, but you can explain it later. Like I used to hate that if like you would get yelled at and you're like, well, I don't understand why. Like, what did I do wrong? You know? So I
Yeah.
always took that to a point to like explain to the person, like, hey, this is why, you know,
Yeah.
this is why.
I did that. I had to do that 2 years ago on job, and I got on a camera operator because he was listening to audio, but he wasn't listening to me, and so he didn't know where to go, and I kept yelling over Walkie like, "Hey, go here, go here," and finally I got mad, but I was like, "Let me talk to you," and I explained to him like, "I understand that you're listening to audio, but you have to be able to be ambidextrous. You have to be able to listen to audio and me."
Right. Yeah.
I'm in Village, and the way when I'm directing, especially on multicam and on reality, I have cameras in one ear, I have producers on one ear, and then I have IFB over my headphones. Yeah. So I'm on two different walkies at the same time, telling everybody what's happening at the same time, and ADing myself.
Yeah.
So if I'm able to do that, you should be able to listen to me and your audio.
Yeah, and if you're going to tune something out, tune out the audio, not the
yeah. Exactly. Yeah, it's you let people, okay, this is you failed, you learn, please learn from it. That's all.
Right, yeah, going forward, learn from it.
Yeah, exactly.
So. Corey, anything else you wanna put out there that people need to know?
Let me think. Yeah, you guys got me on the spot right now.
Good.
You got websites or anything you want to check out?
Yeah, I'll post them all down underneath everything, and in your little.
Okay, I appreciate it. Right now we so my company is Midnight Leopard. We don't have our website up yet. It will be up. We have our Instagram up. We don't have any pictures yet, but we will post things, and I'll make sure you guys get it. Yeah. But as of right now, that's been the primary goal, and then eventually we will have up my stunt company side of things, which is called a violent gentleman.
A violent gentleman.
A violent gentleman.
Oh, gentleman.
Yeah.
Okay. I like that.
That's focusing more on action and previous design, as well as like shooting action in Unreal Engine.
Oh, cool.
And that's something I'm experimenting right now because I have connections with friends down here. And so we're trying to get used to working in virtual environments. And I think shooting action in virtual environments, it's going to also help production on the scripted side of things when they're building sets. Because now it turns into, okay, what happened before is we build sets, and then the stunt team will come in, and now we're like, oh, we have to work around this pillar, we have to work around this. No, now we can shoot the action in the virtual environment, and now set that can build set around the action that we've made. Mm-hmm. And so that's something that we're working on right now.
That's cool. That's really cool.
It's a good project.
Yeah.
Trying, man. We're just, we're working on some things and have some ideas going. So, hopefully have you guys down and check it out.
Yeah, I would love to come down and check it all out.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yeah.
I love all the perseverance and everything. Rags, you got anything else?
No, I just, I want to say it was really great having you on. Everything was super interesting. Like I love everything that you're doing.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. I wish I had more time. I had to filter down a lot of stuff because other experiences and stunt things and trying to name names, but it was just, it was a great experience, and I'm glad. I hope everyone that watches this takes something from it. And, I just want to, for me personally, as my goal is to leave a legacy. Mm-hmm. And just, I want to be able to create, because like for me, like for example, you're wearing a Top Gun t-shirt. For me, I remember as a kid watching that movie, and it's something that stays with you forever.
Oh yeah.
It's like Back to the Future, Indiana Jones, Blade Runner. These are movies that stay with you forever. And those people that have worked on those projects, they've left a legacy that will reciprocate over and over.
Right.
Well, dude, you're on a great path for that legacy, and I think it'll come sooner than later.
Yeah.
I hope so. I hope my goal is in Batman. I want to work on a Batman project in the next 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah, well, they keep banging them out, so they're not going away.
They will. Eventually.
All right, man. We're gonna cut, and then we'll shoot the shit afterwards. So don't get off.
All right.
All right. Thanks, Chloe.